The Breakfast Show. You're listening right across Australia on 87.6, 87.8 or 88 wherever you are on the Faith FM network. And this morning you're joined by myself, Lawson, sitting across from me, none other than Dr. Dan and, of course, producer Shell in the studio, getting it done, living our best lives, just having fun here on a rainy Tuesday morning in the Newcastle, Lake Macquarie area. But, hey, not letting it dampen our spirits.
I'm loving the rain. I'm very thankful for my tanks. We live on rural property and we rely on rain for our water. My tanks were down to about 32%.
Okay.
And then...
Is that usually alarm bells?
That means we've got about a month left of water supply.
Yeah, okay.
So, so I was really thankful for the rain on the weekend and then again this morning.
Dude, 100%. I live under no such constraints, but I'm always, stoked for people in that position to cop the rain and to be able to have good water to drink. Do you notice a big difference between your tank water and water that you...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, tank water's way better.
It's way better?
Yeah.
For what reason?
Oh, it doesn't have the chlorine taste.
Yeah, okay, there you go. There you go. Oh, so I would be incredibly grateful for the rain as well, firstly, freshening everything up, freshening the ground up, giving a bit of moisture. But as well, we've been, the last couple of weeks, we've been getting some big smoke clouds in, I'm based in the, the outskirts of the city in Newcastle. But, the Hunter Valley's been going off with fires recently. And so to dampen those things with some rain and to give us some safety for the coming weeks of potentially hot weather, of course, over the summer period. It's really good.
And all of a sudden, my grass went from yellow to green.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did it, it didn't rain much yesterday. Can you tell, is it just that instantaneous? Like the rain falls and it's just everything that was yellow just freshens up immediately?
Over a couple of days, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Dude, that's awesome. Oh, that's exciting. And okay, last question. Now I'm just interested in rural life because we'd been getting quite a few big smoke outs, from the Hunter Valley and these kinds of things going up. Is that close to your place? Is that a threat to you guys?
It is a threat. There hasn't been a close fire to our place in the whole time that we've lived there. When I say close, nothing that we've been we better start wetting our roofs or getting the firefighting pump ready. Yeah. So, yeah.
Awesome. No. That's good.
I'm sure that will happen at some point. But so far, so
but
good.
Hey, you've been staving it off. That's awesome. Not staving it off the environment. I guess the surrounding areas haven't come ablaze, so that's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty good news for you. I think I would say it's probably a blessing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, coming up in today's show, we're going to be trucking on through the Christmas story, continuing, our perusal of what it was like when Jesus was born and what were the follow-up steps and processes as well after he was born on that fateful night in a manger in Bethlehem. But yeah, like I was saying, we're going to be having, doing a little bit of a look and a processing of what happened on Sunday afternoon and really jumping into the Bible. I think we got our raw reactions yesterday of what the event was. So what
happened on Sunday afternoon in Bondi?
In Bondi, yes. Of course. Yeah. But hey, what does the Bible say we should do in times of grieving and when we look at violence like this?
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
And right now, it is time for our first quiz question of the day. Now, I'm wanting some get back after yesterday, just struggling, bro. I was truly having a Monday, and I hope I've shaken it. And we can roll on with some correctly answered quiz questions. But producer Shell, serve us up some steaming hot quiz questions.
I'm gonna go easy.
Easy.
After yesterday, I'm like, man, wow. I gotta write such easy questions for today.
That's like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, no. I'm kidding. These were already pre-written. Okay. So the first one of the morning, though, is quite easy.
Okay.
What did the dove bring back to Noah? What did the dove bring back? on its second journey out, I believe. We've got correct answers. Well done. Okay,
I was
in the
second-guessing
studio.
myself on that.
Really?
Yeah, I was.
0491 064 669. 0491 064 669. That question again, what did the dove bring back to Noah? Text us in what you think the answer is.
Yeah. My answer, it's early, and the type of thing that wasn't coming to my brain, so I called it the correct descriptor, and I think that was the part that got me over the line. But I just wrote thingy. I just wrote the correct descriptor thingy, that thing,
The thing,
and
well, hey,
then it came to my mind. But
I wonder if producer Shell would have accepted the thingy.
the thing, would it? I don't think so. I don't look. She doesn't play that easy. Would have you accepted if I just wrote the thingy? Would have you accepted that?
No way.
Hey, I was just checking. Like I was just making sure.
Not an answer.
Okay. Well, hey, she wouldn't have accepted. Dan, I'm on the case, and we've got an answer. Hey, we've got some answers coming through on the text line. If you know the answer to that one, 0491 064 669 is the number that you can send it through on. We're picking it up in Luke chapter 2 and observing some more of the Christmas story, picking things up and particularly seeing how the night of Jesus' birth comes to an end in the book of Luke, but then also some of the following steps that took place and their significance and importance to the story of Jesus' birth, the meaning of Jesus' birth. And it's really important that when we're reading these passages in Luke chapter 2 to really think about and understand that every single detail that's added here by Luke is for an explicit purpose and to tie and to connect to something that's important. Sometimes, you can read the Bible and maybe because the meaning of something is lost on you, or you don't have the cultural background or the historical background, you're like, oh, okay, random detail, and then you keep reading. But each thing listed here, and if you're in Luke chapter 2 and you've got a Bible with subheadings as well, you'll see, every couple of verses from after verse 20 is like a different thing that happens when Jesus is born. They're quite short passages all compiled together in this one chapter of things that happen. And you could say, oh, okay, then, this happened and this happened. But we're going to be seeing that there is, some really deep and important meaning that is coming to it. And Jesus, fulfilling quite a few concepts and even prophecies from the Old Testament in his own birth.
And I think what you're saying there about every detail in the Bible having some significance is true even when it comes to things like the list of genealogies. Jesus was, descendant of all these people. There's truth in there and there's meaning and significance in there that's worth unpacking. Anyway,
Absolutely.
we're not in the genealogies.
We're not quite there yet, so you won't hear any baguettes this morning. We won't be speaking French. We are going to be reading the Bible. Let's pick it up. So what we had seen is the shepherds have an angel appear to them. We finish it off, with the call of, hey, go to Jesus. The Bible says that they made haste immediately to go and see him. They see him in verse 16. They see the babe lying in a manger, and they go there and they worship and they identify Jesus as, as they are professional shepherds, the true Lamb of God, the one who would take away the sins of the earth. Now we pick things up in verse 17. We'll read through to verse 20.
Verse 17, now when they had seen him, they made widely known the saying which was told them concerning this child. And all those who heard it marvelled at those things which were told them by the shepherds. But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. Then the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things they had heard and seen as it was told them.
Okay, what do these guys do?
They go and proclaim it. They publicize it.
They
get on their
publicise-
social media and post it.
They get on Twitter. Well, what would be ancient Twitter? I guess, jumping on the soapbox, going to the local synagogue. I mean, maybe not the soapbox. That's far more modern than ancient Jerusalem or ancient Judea. But hey, like they are maybe going to the local synagogue, going around to their friends that are in the town of Bethlehem, going around. The timeline here has been interesting because it says, and all those who heard, not all those who heard it, that's the next line, but the line previous to that one, now when they had seen him, they made it widely known. And then in verse 20, it says, and they returned glorifying and praising God. So you could look at the timeline here. It's like, oh, did that just happen in one night? Or is it saying that they saw Jesus, worshipped him, returned to their work, and then they went out and proclaimed it and shared it with people, just as they were doing their life and, leaving their shepherd life. There could be an argument made of, oh, no, it would have been the night because they had sheep to look after and herd around and whatnot. What do you think about that in terms of timeline of this proclamation? It says to everyone who they could find that they're going sharing it with.
Yeah, look, to me it just seems like it became the thing, that consumed them. I'm not sure on the details of timeline, but, I think they would have been proclaiming it, whatever opportunity they had afterwards. But it seemed that they also they also had to return to what they were doing.
Yes.
But before and after they returned, they were proclaiming it.
Yes. And this is giving some flavor to the build-up that I just did. Why are we focusing on this detail? I think it's important that, hey, these people were shepherds and professional shepherds. Clearly they also loved God and appreciated God, and they were followers of God in heart. This angel appears to them, tells them to go to Jesus and meet the baby Jesus, and they do. But after this, their primary purpose, I could say it's changed, but maybe it's not changed because these were people that were always endeavoring to follow God. But this is something that they take with them for life, and they become both evangelists as well as shepherds. They order their life to say, oh, look, shepherding, looking after the sheep puts the bread on the table and helps me to support my family. But this other, side of my life now that I don't get paid for is just as, if not more important for me to engage in, to the point where it'll become a part of my life. It will be something that I do while I'm working as a shepherd, while I'm, at home on break, while whatever I might be doing. This has become a part of my life, and a part of my purpose is proclaiming Jesus, testifying to the things that I've seen. And
it's interesting, like back at the time, they would have had the immediate needs of, we've got to provide for our family, we'll look after the sheep and whatever. But history knows them as the shepherds that went to see and then proclaimed Jesus' birth. Like the significance of what they did in embracing this new mission that God had given them to proclaim the birth of the Messiah. That's what they're known for. That's the significant thing of their contribution to the human race and to history. That's why we know. That's why we're talking about them today.
Absolutely. Look, I say all this to say that God is calling us today to something that supersedes our career goals and our potential purpose that can come from our talents in specific areas, that particularly in the areas that enable us to have a living and support families or whatever it may be. God is calling you to something greater than that. Now, that doesn't mean he's like obfuscating your responsibility and saying, oh, now, just like sit on your butt and just have other people look after you so you can spend all your time doing this thing that I'm calling you to. Like, there are some people that are called and get, to be in professional ministry, and that's my life. That's my, fortunately I get to do that, and I'm really privileged for being able to do that.
But you still have responsibilities at home, like to do the dishes or
that's right.
whatever it is.
That's right. That doesn't discount or neglect my need to like be a part of my community, my home, have a relationship with my family and my wife and all of these things. Like I'm still a normal functioning member of society who pays their taxes and you know, does all of those various things.
It's those things that actually give the opening points or the connection points of connection with society. Like the you know, Paul, who was a tent maker, these shepherds, the fact that they were shepherds is hugely significant to the story. Like, you know, Jesus being the Lamb of God, as we were talking about yesterday. Yeah. That's key to their newly embraced identity and mission as evangelists for this new Messiah.
Absolutely. And yeah, hey, if you are either a pastor or a plumber or a nurse, aged care worker, you know, fuel station attendant, or you know, white collar corporate phenom entrepreneur, like we could pick any occupation and say, hey, none of, you know, wherever you sit in society in terms of class or status, you know, whatever your workload is, whether you're, you know, on a cruisy part-timer or you're doing 80 hours a week for your business, you know, your self, you know, employed small business, whatever it may be, primarily, like, God is still calling you to live a life and to embrace a lifestyle that is, hey, whatever I do, I'm doing for the glory of God, and I'm taking every opportunity that I can, particularly in Australia, a place that's full of, you know, very diverse, full of secularism, and, you know, a place that truly needs reaching. God is giving you an ample opportunity to share with and calling you to share with the people around you. You know, I can see that it could be hard, and yeah. Oh, have you like spent time in particularly like real Christian majority countries where there's churches on literally every corner and all of them are active? I think particularly of like developing countries that are like Christian majority countries, like for example,
Philippines. Yeah, actually, most of the countries that I've lived in 4 other countries, and 3 of them are majority Christian. And you know, the people are there are churches on every corner, and you know, people are active in those churches.
100%. Yeah, that was my experience. You know, going to Ethiopia, and there's like a sizable Muslim population there, but other than the Muslim population, which is much smaller than a place like Nigeria or whatever it may be, I think it was at the time like 13 to 15% Muslim. Outside of that, you've got like, you know, it's like, oh, Ethiopian Orthodox, Roman Catholic, like everyone is Christian. And, you know, in these kinds of places, it can feel like, man, you know, what is there to share? Like, what good news? But it's, you know, there are still definitely things to share. There is truth to be shared there, especially as we're approaching Jesus' second coming, and there's present truth for this time that needs to be shared. But at the same time, living in Australia, in a place that is like so full of people that are on all sides of the spectrum of, you know, faith and belief and religion, we have such a necessity for people that are, or such a need for people that are, a plumber, a tradie, you know, whoever, and stand for Jesus and live a life following him and representing him.
And what better time to do that, to stand for Jesus, than the time of Christmas?
Absolutely.
It's a great opportunity to share Jesus in our community. You know, it's the time when you can go to the shops, hear Jesus' name being sung in songs.
Yeah, that's right. You know, we are fortunate to live in a country like this where, despite the secularism, you know, we could live in a truly secular country, like you know, if we were dropped in like a China, you know, type of, well, China right now, if you were just dropped there, where it's, you know, real secularism, you know, or a real type of secularism in government and culture and whatnot, to the point where like there's a big rejection of Christianity and people sharing their faith and whatnot, then you'll have issues. Whereas we live in a society that has this big secular aspect to it, yet gives you opportunities to share what you believe, like, and hallows them as as public holidays and times of celebration.
There's some resistance to that. There was conversations in my workplace yesterday that, you know, that it's not an automatic acceptance of this Christian heritage and history that our country has, and you know, cultural elements. But yeah, it's an opportunity, even though. And thankfully, our laws are such that we can freely share.
I'm just thinking, were people in your workplace saying, nah, we shouldn't take Christmas off, we should work over the break? I hope not.
No.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
This is the last week of Faith FM radio for the year in terms of live breakfast show. Of course, we're going to have shows throughout the Christmas period, some specials, some of the best bits from the year. You'll be able to listen to them and be blessed. But yeah, in our last opportunities of live radio for the year, producer Shell is going hard on the Christmas music, as she should. Speaking of last opportunities, I want to give you guys the opportunity to get in for our birthday draw. We are spinning the wheel today. If you want an amazing Faith FM Christmas present, then just send us through your date of birth, your day and month to 0491 064 669. Hey, look, you can send the year through as well if you want to. If you're comfortable with your age and you want us to know how old you are. But if you're a December baby, send it through to 0491 064 669. On the table to win, you can win either a cookbook or a board game or a Bible or a $50 voucher, which is the cheapest of all the prizes. We have high quality products in all the other categories. Or you can win a dinner with a host. So, hey, if you want one of these prizes, if you are born in December, if you want to be in the draw, 0491 064 669 is the number to text.
Hey, we want to wish a happy birthday to Joyce.
Shout out Joyce.
Oh, cool.
Today's her birthday, and she's
Happy
in the
birthday.
draw, and the draw's happening on her birthday. So
Yeah,
I hope she wins. No, I can't say that. That's
yeah, we want all of them to win, but we can't
want
let that
everyone
happen.
to
Unfortunately, we've only got one.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
So if your birthday is in December and it kind of gets overshadowed by Christmas, you're actually in good company. There's a funny headline here from a satire site that I just want to read. It says, Jesus kind of bummed he was born on December 25 and now his birthday will be overshadowed by Christmas every year.
I mean, actually, it's funny, but it's
But
kind
it's
of
true.
fair because people, you know, what Christmas is in terms of, you know, Santa and commercialism and, you know, whatever. It's actually kind of real.
It is. It's very thought-provoking, actually, in its comicness.
Yeah. You know, Jesus bummed that the most significant, you know, moment in his life, his death, is overshadowed by Easter Bunny. Same vibe. Hey, producer Shell, we need a quiz answer.
We do indeed, and I think that you guys both got that one right, so well done. It was an olive branch that the dove brought back on its second trip, and then it didn't return at all on its last one. All right. Our next question is from the book of Daniel. What was Daniel told to do with the book until the time of the end? What was Daniel told to do with the book until the time of the end? We have correct answers in the studio, and we would love for you to play along and send in your answer as well. 0491 064 669 is our number, 0491 064 669. And that question one more time. What was Daniel told to do with the book until the time of the end? And you can find that answer in chapter 12 of the book of Daniel.
Yeah. I was about to make the joke, like, isn't this kind of cheating because Dan was there? You know, because his name's Daniel. And
Oh, I'm so glad you didn't make the joke.
yeah,
Because that would have been really bad.
Yeah, it would have been super cheesy and cringe. Anyways, hey, you're listening to The Breakfast Show here on Faith FM. And, hey, we're going to continue in the book of Luke. And we've talked here about the shepherds, their public proclamation. It says here, Mary, she kept all these things and in her heart and pondered them, which is a line that comes up a number of times in Luke chapter 2. Luke chapter 1 and Luke chapter 2, you know, she's observing the baby Jesus, seeing the the really amazing events surrounding his, birth and whatnot. And often it says this phrase, hey, she sees this and she keeps it in her heart. She wasn't one to go and proclaim Jesus in this way that the shepherds did. And I think for good reason, like she being obviously the mother of Jesus and connected to Jesus, I think it was a good thing for her to maybe go easy on the public proclamation, like, hey, my son is actually the Messiah, everybody, and he's going to grow up to be the king, the shepherd of Israel. Like, that would have definitely caused some tension and some issues. Well, and almost immediately, people are seeking Jesus's life. But yeah, maybe unwarranted and undue attention from someone so close to the situation. I mean, the literal mother of Jesus who just experienced Immaculate Conception probably wasn't good, like a good thing to happen. What do you think?
I'm a bit questioning of this Immaculate Conception.
Well, I mean, Jesus was not Mary's Immaculate Conception, but Jesus's, his
divine miraculous conception.
Divine miraculous conception.
Yeah. Look, I think Mary's role in bringing Jesus into the world really focused on the typical role of a mother, more so than proclaiming, "Hey, look at my child."
Yeah.
I mean, there were other people that were called to say, "Hey, here's the Messiah."
Yeah.
But she still had. So Jesus, as a baby, was helpless. He still needed his mother to feed him, to clothe him, to clean him, to train him. So there was Jesus. Mary had a significant role in helping Jesus. There was a sense in which Jesus as God did not need the correction of a mother in the same way that correction from sin, but correction from he still needed guidance as to how to live, how to do things.
Yeah, and this is a massive topic. Regarding, something, it's a really big thing to consider, and a lot of people ponder it, how really human was Jesus, how human was his experience. I preached on this recently because I think it's interesting. The Bible makes it clear that Jesus grew in wisdom and knowledge and stature and goodwill. Particularly later in Luke chapter 2, the chapter that we're reading from, as he's growing up in Galilee, in the carpenter shop, nailing blocks together and sanding wood and doing all these things. Like, he's doing so for he's gaining knowledge and understanding. Like, he is God in human flesh. He is a divine in having a divine godly nature, but he's also living out authentically the human experience. And Mary is his authentic human mother. I think her other role, the question is, she kept it in her heart, so she didn't necessarily go around proclaiming it. She would have proclaimed it to one person, and that would have been Jesus. She would have told Jesus,
yes.
Hey, Jesus, this is how you were born, and this is who visited us, and this is what happened, and Jesus, you're special. This is who you are, and this is the kind of training and instruction that Jesus would have received. I agree with you in terms of, Jesus not necessarily needing reproof or discipline, because he would have been really like the perfect child. These concepts of right and wrong, good and bad would have come very naturally to him, and he wouldn't necessarily have stumbled into a great deal of wrongdoing. In fact, our understanding of Jesus is that he never sinned. He never did the wrong thing. Now, there is something to be said there, that, like, a lot of people ponder, well, what does that actually looks like? What kind of things does a 12-year-old Jesus get up to? What kind of mistakes doesn't he make that, and what is considered a sin for a 12-year-old that wouldn't have been a sin that Jesus was participating in? Like, there's lots of questions there about, what Jesus is growing up, and those stages as well. There's more responsibility and more that we expect from children as they get older compared to when they're younger.
It would be very interesting to see a documentary on the
life
of Jesus the child.
I think that's going to have to be a heaven special.
Yes, I'm signed up for that one.
We're going to have to wait for the 32K super IMAX screen in heaven or whatever it may be to watch that one. We can sit down for movie night in our heavenly mansions, like something like that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So what do we do with this Christmas story today? And sorry, we'll come back to where you're going. But what do we do with this story today? It's we were saying before, it's an opportunity that we can share Jesus we kind of have society's permission in a way to share the good news of Jesus' birth in a way that other times of the year just don't give that. Yeah. Permission? Is permission the right word? But don't give that social license, social acceptability to do it. So actually, at our property, we're inviting the neighbours over for a Christmas party get together. And last night, my wife and some friends from down the road that go to our church, they were putting up all the nativity scene on our barn, on the barn door, and there's this giant big printout of the nativity scene. And so we are sharing this story with our immediate neighbours, many of whom aren't worshippers of Christ and don't know him. And we're praying that God will use that opportunity to share his truth and love to our immediate neighbours. In fact, it was kind of quite special. We were there in the dusk, looking at this scene printed out, put on the barn, Jesus there in the manger with the shepherds and so forth, and then our sheep just start bleeding over it.
Dude, that's awesome.
So we have to time it tonight to get them to just chime in just at the right moment.
Yeah, 100%. No, I love that. Look, I think of it like this. Any good witness is usually a combination of needs being met, an attempt to meet someone's needs in some kind of social or physical or monetary or temporal or whatever it may be, some kind of way. It's a combination of attempting to meet someone's needs in order to establish connection with them, and proclamation. If you do both of these things in a positive, balanced, and happy way, you can be very successful in witnessing and representing Jesus to people. Now, the meeting of the needs side, I love what you guys are doing. You said, hey, look, it's Christmas time. We want to invite the neighbors over. I'm sure at your Christmas party there'll be some yummy food. There'll be stuff for the kids. I'm just thinking about on your street, the neighbors, probably other neighboring families with children and these.
Yeah, we think there's going to be about 7 kids coming, so we're prepared. We've got some gifts for the kids.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's gifts for the kids, hanging out, fun activity, your kids hanging out with them having a fun night. So
we'll open our pool to everyone. They can jump in the pool. And
awesome.
Pool down there'll be there'll be gifts and food and all of those things. But I think coming out of COVID and lockdowns, we've been doing this every year for, I think 5. This might be number 5, or 6 maybe even. But the first time we did it, coming out of lockdowns, the neighbourhood was just really eager to connect. And we've had typically 30, 40 people. I think even up to 50.
Wow! And so people are coming out because you are meeting the need of social connection amongst the neighborhood, and people are coming out having a great time, and then you're taking the opportunity to proclaim. This can be done on 40, 50 people. I would say for an individual, 40, 50 people come to the house, or for a family, I'd say that's kind of large scale, relatively. I mean, it's not 10,000 people, but maybe you could call it medium scale. It's maybe a bit bigger than one-on-one, but it gives you lots of opportunities of one-on-one connecting with people. as well. So you could say it's smaller, I guess.
Yeah, look, we'll be happy with whoever comes this evening, but I think it's probably going to be about 30 or 40. So we can give you an update tomorrow. On
Yeah,
Breakfast Show.
100%. I'm keen to hear it. But look, I'm just reflecting on, hey, but what could you do? What could the Faith FM listener do? What kind of thing could they say? They say, oh, well, I don't have a big backyard. I don't have whatever it may be. But hey, it can be as easy as, hey, do you want to come to my place for dinner? Do you want to, or an activity, or somewhere in a public meeting place, whatever it may be, establishing some level of social connection. And
giving gifts of whether it's Christian literature or what we've bought for kids is just Christmas puzzle books, like the Christmas story, and then an activity for the kids to colour in or find words in a word search or whatever it is. Like just an interesting activity book for the kids they'll love.
100%. For me, typically what I've done, I don't have a Christmas where I've got a lot of things planned. I mean, particularly within the Christmas week, I don't have a big thing planned. We're going away, seeing our like my wife's family and that kind of thing. That's our plan. But just reflecting on, how I usually connect with people, it's, dude, I'm just like, I just invite everyone over for dinner. I'm like, hey, come over for dinner. My wife cooks and she cooks good. And we sit there and talk and people from all kinds of backgrounds, in my house, and we're chatting about life, and you just ask a question, hey, so do you have a spiritual interest? And people will just open up and tell you about all their thoughts and feelings in life, and you say, hey, would you be interested in coming to my church?
And these shepherds gave us the example back 2,000 years ago. They were proclaiming Jesus' birth.
That's right. They were herding sheep and stopping in towns and saying, hey, guys, by the way, we saw the Messiah. Take that opportunity that God is giving you now. Take it over the Christmas period.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
Producer Shell, we need a quiz answer.
So our quiz question was, what was Daniel told to do with the book until the time of the end? And it was to shut up the words and seal the book.
Yeah, shut it up and seal.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that's not what we're being told to do with the Bible today.
Yeah, that's right. We're being told to actually, speaking of the book of Daniel specifically, in Revelation 10, to eat it, to consume it, to understand it. That's actually, dude, that would be like, okay, kids, don't use this. Don't use this. This might be bad influence. But look, it'd be so funny if it'd be like, hey, can you be like the book of Daniel and shut up right now? Producer Shell's like rolling her eyes. She's like, yeah, you're cancelled. You're cancelled. Hey, kids, don't do it, okay? But
well, hey, the book of Daniel is meant to be proclaimed from the rooftops right at this time of history. So if someone says, hey, be a Daniel, that means you're saying, preach it, brother.
Preach it. Get into it. Get stuck into it. Yeah, look, the prophetic books of the Bible are really, and I'm thinking particularly of Daniel and Revelation, what they call the apocalyptic prophetic literature, all to do with, history through to the end of time and these wonderful symbols. I honestly don't think there's a better time to share them than Christmas, because it's, quite a bit of the book of Daniel and its prophecies focus in on Jesus and on his arrival. His coming.
Messiah, Daniel chapter 9.
That's right.
And then he's coming second time.
That's right.
And that's the times in which we live now.
Absolutely. So, hey, look, if you'd like to hear more about that, I'm sure jump on Faith FM, to jump on programs. There'll be a lot of awesome resources there where you can get stuck into hearing amazing things about the book of Daniel. Hey, still to come in the show, we are going to be, jumping into, maybe for the last time this week, the Bondi shooting, doing some real biblical processing and seeing, hey, what does the Bible tell us to do in the face of such a great tragedy like this one. We're going to be interviewing Dr. John Ashton as well, who is a chemist, a scientist in that area, and we're going to be getting into, where cravings come from? Why do we want things that we maybe shouldn't
I'm looking
have?
forward to this interview.
Which I'm keen to get into. Hey, what's on the agenda for Good News, Dan?
Yeah, we're going to be looking at the way that God is working in getting people to understand the gospel around the world.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.